Tracking Reddit here this morning. Reddit is among the top trending tickers on Yahoo Finance, the company posting its first earnings report as a public company. And investors, they seem to be liking the news here. Josh Schafer is here with the details. I mean, Josh, I forget the mascot's name already. I know I should remember this.
Snoo.
Snoo, that's right.
I didn't
How
have
can I forget Snoo?
Yeah.
All right.
There we go.
Well,
I'll through it for you guys here this morning.
I've just been tracking the earnings report on Reddit, right? That's what everyone did?
That's true.
So per Reddit, I'll read you the numbers, right? So when you take a look at the numbers for Reddit, it really was, I think, the second quarter revenue guidance here that probably impressed the investors the most. Second quarter revenue guidance coming in a range of $240 million to $255 million. That was above the street's estimates for $228 million. And then we were talking earlier about the adjusted EBITDA guidance for the current quarter coming in a range of $0 to $15 million. That's above what the street had been expecting. The street was actually expecting a loss of $13 million. So perhaps upside in revenue here may be driving some of the potential profitability gains for Reddit. That has been a looming question since this company went public, of course, is A, how are they going to make more money? How are they going to bring in more revenue? And then B, when will that eventually lead to profits? I think overall, reading through some analyst notes this morning, people were just generally impressed with the quarter. I mean, Reddit beat what the street was expecting pretty much up and down this report, even when you look at something like daily active users coming in at 82.7 million. And I think the looming question now for this stock is going to be, what do people think of the valuation after we open the market today? It starts to shoot up. Somewhere in the 10 to 15% range is where it's been this morning. Remember the last time we really saw Reddit take off right after the IPO, a short report came out almost instantly, and people started questioning sort of the valuation and the future plans here. It seems like the most bullish people on Reddit are still talking a lot about the AI strategy overall, and that's kind of the long-term play here.
Yeah, exactly. And you got to ask yourself just how long that's going to take to really materialize, right? And that goes to the question about what that growth is going to look like in the coming quarters, because there certainly is a lot to like within this print, but I think those that still remain on the sidelines, we're going to be talking to one analyst later on in the program who still has an underperformed rating on the stock, and he's just pointing to that future growth and exactly when the dust settles and some of this excitement leaves, what exactly the realistic growth is going to look like for Reddit, but also just evaluating this type of name given the crazy trading action that we have seen and given the fact that it is a meme stock. I would think that that would make the job even tougher here for these analysts when they're trying to figure out really the fundamental story here when it comes to Reddit.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about that, Shauna, and sort of zoom out from like a slightly macro perspective, right? It was a good report and the stock is up a little over 10% in pre-market trading. That's not crazy, but like that's how this works, right? That's normally what you're supposed to see. If you get a beat and raise for a stock that hasn't done that well going into the report, a 10% move is certainly not unheard of. And that's something that our markets reporter, Jared Blickery, was writing about in the Morning Brief newsletter this morning. We're starting to see some of these meme stocks, like yes, they've been on a run. Look at Carvana shares over the last 2 weeks, right? But should we even be calling Carvana a meme stock anymore? Maybe. But it also had a good earnings report, right? And that's why that stock is moving. And I think that's why Reddit is moving here. So for now, it seems relatively tied to the fundamental story. We'll see how much people want to talk about AI today. And then I think you start to get into a yes, that's a use case for Reddit, potential revenue driver. But what is that revenue driver? I mean, it's just still a massive, massive question for this company.
Yeah, they were talking about, particularly within this earnings release, in a world where content is increasingly AI and influencer generated, Reddit remaining one of the few uniquely human places on the internet, that according to the press release, of course, here. But ultimately, I think it still comes back to, for where AI plays a role within their strategy, what is the biggest source of spending that we've heard about over the course of this earnings season? It has been where Meta is going to spend further into AI, where Google or Alphabet is going to spend further into AI. And so what that CapEx looks like for Reddit could be one of the next big catalysts that investors have to think about in their spending profile in this near term.
And is Reddit going to be a CapEx taker? Right?
Sure.
I think that's an interesting part of the story too, Brad. That was something that Laura Martin over at Needham highlighted in her note today. They put Reddit on their conviction list, and she said she thinks Reddit's data will become table stakes for all generative AI large language models over time.
Yeah.
In essence, if you're gonna get into the Gen AI large language model game, if you're gonna make something like ChatGPT and you wanna have something that can interact, you're gonna want Reddit's data of humans talking to use that, right? And so if they're gonna be a CapEx taker from that sense of everyone that wants to get into AI, a lot of people want to get into AI, so maybe they benefit from that.
It certainly is the case, and you can see it across the board when it comes to some of these, so many of these, well, I guess now positioned AI memes. All right, Josh, thanks.